Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this very first session today entitled After War, What are the Conditions for Digital Peace? And I'm very happy to welcome this morning Ambassador Ernst Noorman. You are Ambassador for Cyber Affairs, Security and Stability in Cyberspace for the Netherlands. Many thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and very happy to be in Lille at this FIC conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have a very interesting discussion on the Dutch strategy and approach to stability and security in the cyberspace. And the first thing I wanted to mention was the cyber strategy that the Dutch government launched in September 2023 with the aim to keep internet open, free and safe. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the strategy contains and what are the objectives?
Absolutely, I can do that. It's a follow-up of the previous strategy, but we've seen, of course, big changes in the geopolitical spectrum. Our objective is still the same, to keep the internet free, open, secure and accessible for everyone. However, the geopolitical situation has changed. We've seen, of course, the unprovoked invasion of Russia and Ukraine. We've seen a more assertive China on the worldwide domain. We've seen the conflict in Gaza, and we've seen a more digitalized world, so also in many senses more vulnerable world. So how to react on that? And one of the strategies to be more proactive in defending ourselves of the threats, to work together with coalitions, countries around the world, within the EU, the NATO, but also outside, to find strong coalitions to prevent attacks, to try to deter attacks, and also work in that sense with the other stakeholders on the internet. The tech companies are important partners on it, but also the NGOs and the academic community. We see also a threat on the democratic values and human rights online. As you know, almost half the population goes to the ballot this year. So we see also a lot of threats for the elections, misinformation, deepfakes, using AI to influence elections. So how do we protect also the democratic values online? That's an important topic for us. We are the chair of the Freedom Online Coalition this year. This is a coalition of 39 countries, Cape Verde to be the last one to join us. And that's with the agenda to defend democratic values, to defend human rights online, to make sure we continue with the multi-stakeholder process, which means the internet, no one owns the internet, or we all own the internet. And that's the successful model to continue to work on that. And finally, I would also like to mention that it's the internet governance, how is the internet organized? We see a politicization of some of the international institutions like the ITU. And for us, it's really important to keep it at the technical level, to make sure that everyone has an access to the internet, that the internet stays interoperable, and that we use this multi-stakeholder model also to make sure that this internet, which is actually a combination of 80,000 small networks, that they're able to continue to work efficiently. And more, our ambition also to include the 2.6 billion people who are not connected yet to the internet.
That's a very big objective. That's very ambitious. Good, congrats. And also, in addition to those geopolitical shifts that you mentioned, there are, a lot of technological progress and innovations that are arising. What sort of challenges do that pose, and what are the challenges that the Dutch government has to face in relation to this?
Well, what you see, of course, is that we have going through a digital transformation. Everyone is connected to the internet. All institutions are connected. But that means also we're getting more vulnerable. And see also with the developments on AI and quantum. I saw that one of the other topics on your program was also the future of the quantum technology and what it does mean for encryption. So we get a lot of challenges, but you can already see what just happened to Africa. I do not know if you follow, but a number of the subsea cables were cut And Africa was disconnected, large parts of Africa were disconnected from the internet. It was most likely by an undersea earthquake, but it shows also vulnerability. And right now a number of cables are cut in the Red Sea, 4 cables out of 16, which slows down the internet considerably. But at the same time, the situation is such that it's almost impossible to repair these cables because of the conflict with the Houthis. Now, at the same time also we see that countries like China, like Russia, try to influence, try to pre-position themselves also in the internet. We had just Full Typhoon, which is an attack on outdated routers, especially in the United States. Try to pre-position themselves, for instance, in water treatment plants, on other infrastructure. So that really shows that we are vulnerable and have to be prepared. We should really look at how to defend, and not only in the capitals, not only in the advanced technical centers, but just also in those parts of the country where people think they are safe and that's far away. But internet doesn't stop at borders.
No, and indeed, you mentioned the different bodies and organizations internationally where you're involved. You mentioned the Freedom Online Coalition, but also the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise. Which are those topics and sort of causes that you want to raise and promote at the international level?
Indeed, I already mentioned the Freedom Online Coalition, and that's really with the angle of human rights online, defending that. And that's a concern. The Freedom House has stated through their reports that in 13 consecutive years, the civic space on the internet has been reduced. So that's really a threat for journalists online, human rights defenders, social leaders, that they can express themselves, and that's for us crucial, and that's one of the objectives also of the Freedom Online Coalition. We see internet shutdowns also during elections, and that's also one of the topics on the agenda. And on the agenda of the Freedom Online Coalition is the future of the internet, to keep it, like I said before, a multi-stakeholder model. Now, if I move to the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise, that was created amongst others by the Netherlands in 2015. And that has really an objective to coordinate, to be a platform for capacity building. Capacity building those countries who do not have the capacity yet to defend themselves adequately. We are all vulnerable. I mean, also the Netherlands, we may have an advanced way of defending ourselves, but still we are very vulnerable. And that's why we always stress it's teamwork to defend ourselves. So we need to create also a strong team. It's like a chain, you know, the weakest link can be a threat for the others as well. So it's also in our interest to create capacity in those countries who do not have good certs yet, you know, who do not have a national cybersecurity center, how to create those, how to involve them also at the negotiations we have at the UN. We have a beautiful Women in Cyber program, and they have now more than 50 women from countries who were previously not actively involved at the negotiation table at the UN and other fora. And now you see the majority of interventions come from women last year. So it's successful to include women, 50% of the population, who has to be involved in the debate on the future of the internet. But also we include countries who were not previously involved in those discussions. So it's and I want to add also the Global Forum Cyber Expertise is not only countries. We have 200 members. That includes also many big companies who are involved to also contribute to capacity building, NGOs who are involved, and to make sure that we make the internet safer on the internet for all of us.
And that's a very interesting point what you said about the tech companies. And indeed, we know that the Dutch government work very closely, hand in hand with the tech companies. What sort of shape does it take exactly, this cooperation with the industry?
Yeah, they take different shapes. You know, you see a bit of shift on, you know, to see what's happening on the internet. We have to acknowledge that the big tech companies have probably a better view on what's happening on the internet worldwide. So we really have to work together hand in hand to defend the internet against the malicious attacks. We have to share information, look at together and how to defend it. If we look at Ukraine, for instance, we've been contributing Ukraine in their capabilities on cyber defense, but they were initially also the tech companies who really were active, started immediately after the big attacks to defend Ukraine. And we continued then also to fund these companies and then work together with 10 other countries and in the so-called Tallinn mechanism to help on the civilian side defend Ukraine. But it could only be done together with the big tech companies, otherwise we would not have the capabilities to do so. But also on capacity building, they have a lot of knowledge and they are willing to do that together with us to help other countries to build up systems to defend themselves. Also on public diplomacy, you see that many of the companies are very active. Of course, there's a commercial interest from their side, but also they have a lot of knowledge they're willing to share with others.
It's about taking from each of the actors their very strength and putting everything together in the fight against all the different cyber threats. And I think that's a very good message to carry on, how to go towards more digital peace. And that's a very good, I think, message from the strategy and the approach of the Dutch government. Many thanks, Ambassador Noorman, for having been with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Indeed, like you said, it's team sport.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.